Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. Today, we have a very special topic with Suchada and with Navasit, and they asked me a question. I think that is really important for everybody because I think everybody has this kind of problems in life. Okay, Suchada. So,
Yeah, our question.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Our question is about childhood trauma. So how does it affect our life?
Childhood trauma and drama, we can say both, is something that every child, every human actually has. We always had certain dramas in our life, and sometimes out of the drama really comes a trauma. So one thing is, let's reach back. A lot of people bring already in this incarnation drama and trauma from past lives with it. Now, when you know a little bit what's happening in the world and what is discovered and disclosed in the moment, you know about child abuse. And when you consider our whole education, I would say our whole education is abuse, child abuse, is brainwash and child abuse. And when you bring already something out of something with you from a previous life, it's very often that when you choose your parents, that when you choose your surrounding, because if conscious or unconscious, it doesn't matter, but we all have chosen our life, our surrounding, the people that we are connected with. That's what we call the karma that we come here to clear. And it is very important that we realize that we clear it, because in that way, karma will be released on a higher level, because once we move into higher consciousness, into higher level, it all has a complete different perspective. And we also don't talk then about karma anymore. We talk about our akasha, or akashic records that we are connected with, meaning the knowledge of all that is. But the traumas that have been in the past will not affect us anymore, because on a higher consciousness level, when you see through why you had to go through certain experience and why you had chosen to experience certain things, it's not the same anymore. But nonetheless, in the moment, it's still here, because we're still in transition in this higher energy, and it needs to be cleared. And one thing that is very important to realize is, what you resist persists. What you look at disappears. So a lot of people, you put it away, or you have a lot of fun, you go out, whatever, and you just don't look at it. And this is, in Asian culture, it's very, very obvious that you don't face things like that, and you carry it around, and then you get sick. You remember that everything what is in disharmony with our life path and manifests itself at one point in illness. Again, according to the topic, what we have, what is connected with the past. So it is really important that all this child drama and trauma are being worked with, looked at. And I don't even really think that you need a therapist for that. Once you're aware that it's there, you can work with your upstairs team. You can, for example, in the evening when you go to bed, you can connect with your, whatever you call it, protecting angels or divine self, whatever. Please help me to resolve all the childhood trauma and drama, and help me to, for example, work through dream work to it, or let me remember certain things that I can understand why they happen. I think dream work is very good for such things.
In my own experience, before I always dream like I'm trapped in some dark energy or something, and I didn't know how to get out, didn't know how to escape. Yeah, but once I went up to finish the Skywheel class with you, after that period of time, my dream changed.
Good. Yeah.
It changed, and now I have a varieties of dream.
Yeah. Now see, the thing is, once you see, when you came to learn the astrology, what we did, it was more or less a year. It is a whole education that you start to understand cosmic forces that are involved in our life, that you completely change your point of view, how you look at life. And you become less of a victim. You start slowly, step by step, take back your power, understanding your curriculum of life, what you have to learn, what you have to look at, what you see. And when you do that, all these old dramas automatically are nullified. I kind of balance and just vanish, because remember, often images of that came up, and the same as when we did the mandala workshop, it was very much the same with these ladies for 1 year, the whole education, that a lot of stuff in these mandalas have shown certain pain, and you don't even have to remember an event. It is just an energy of pain. Like, remember, when again the consciousness table, we have the lower energy of fear, of pain, of shame, of guilt, of all that. So for example, you had an incident of shame that causes you a trauma. If you can redeem this energy of shame and move beyond, all that is gone, and you don't have to look into the events. So you don't have to go into it. Some people have to, but you have to look at the topic, and very often it's not only once, it is repeating itself. Like when you have always the same dream. I had that as a child too. It was always the same dream, and at one point it suddenly stopped, and I realized what happened in my life, and I realized what it was all about. So this education of giving you back the power to understand more clearly what life is about, and not believe in the programs that you were victim anyway, and you know, all that stuff that's going on. Once you take back your power, the dreams can stop. So when you have that dream of being caught, like I have somebody that he always was in a you know, this kind of little things we have, that you put the broom and everything, a closet kind of, but a walk-in closet, and he was always caught in that broom closet and couldn't go out. And it's more or less the same, you know. It's kind of, even the brooms, I had to laugh, because it's just bad to clean out something in life, you know. And once we looked at the topic, it is very easy to resolve it afterwards. So work with symbols that tell you something. The darkness is like, okay, you have been in some kind of dark energy, and a negative energy that is connected with fear. So what kind of fear is it? What you're afraid of?
Back then,
And once you see what you are afraid of, you know exactly the topic.
So
but I think it's difficult, you know, because if, like, for me, I always observe. I try to observe what's happening. But for those who not observe, they would always feel like they are victims.
Of course they are. They
And
are victims.
The childhood trauma, I mean drama or everything, it all from up the feeling of being a victim.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Like they have no power to do anything.
Yes, and it's true, you know. Now again, look back the last few thousand or even millennia that we had. We humans have been slaves of an elite, and we have been victims in some kind of a drama that has power over us. because this elite and whatever, that through the brainwash, through very clear plans that not reach a small period of time, but the plans that span over hundreds of years, like what is the result of what is happening now. We've been their slaves, but now when we wake up and when we see through these plans, because of a divine law that we have a free will, there is nobody who can really force you to do something. And whatever consequences are coming out of it, you are under the divine law. Even if the human law play game with you, you still have, imagine that, again, the whole karmic situation, like we are in this transition period now, and you incarnate and say, okay, I will make it into the higher dimension. Do with me whatever you want, but I want to make it. Okay, so I want to clear my karma to get out of this 3D into the fifth dimension, higher realms. Whatever is still hanging on my back, help me to get out. So I know some people, they have been really in trouble. They've been in prison and whatever, but that is clearing their karma. Once you accept it, once you go there and don't fight it and accept it and align with your higher self, you are at peace, even in prison.
I see. So it means that surrender, right?
Yes, surrender, and surrender to your divine self, not surrender to the negative elite or whatever programs, you know.
Mhm.
So the childhood trauma, now just look at our education. Actually, I just had a case like that I was really kind of freaked out a bit. You know, like here in Thailand also, when you have a child, you don't call it by the name, you say Luke.
Mm.
Okay, so Luke is also like when you say fruit, like, you know, you have this dominate, you have like, when I say a sheet of paper, you don't say just, you just say paper or whatever, give me paper. So you say, give me paper, one sheet. And also, for example, like a fruit is also a Luke, you know, I have not just an orange, I have a piece of orange. So if you use the same word for a child, you reduce the child to a piece of human.
So this is the adult effect, the childhood trauma.
Yes, and this has a lot of to do with the trauma, because a child, the moment it is born, it is out of the womb, it has taken its first breath, when the soul really comes into that body, that is an individual. But you throw it in the pot of Luke, and like 10 children, they're all Luke, 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 Luke. Luke Chai, Luke Sao, Luke whatever. And you don't allow in that way, with the education that goes on afterwards, when they are nicely all walk two holding hands first in the same uniform, put them together in the same frame, to not allow them to individualize themselves.
I see. Mm-hmm.
You know, what life is that what is in everybody of us, including in all animals, in plants, Mother Earth, everywhere. And this is one, and this is where we are connected to oneness. But the oneness does not go into the hive behavior of humanity. We're not a hive, but that's what the elite tries to create, that we are a hive, like, you know, or like a fish swarm, you know, when all the fish go always in the same direction, or bird swarm or whatever. We are not. As a human being, you're supposed to be an individual, but still be part of the whole.
Mm.
So the trauma starts already the moment you're born in your Luke. Or for example, like The parents, you know, that's more like the Western style. This is my son, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is my whatever. You don't even give it a name. And when you say, my wife said, my husband said, my son said, my daughter does, they are mine. I claim possession. And like, I just had a case, and I will mention that, because he said to me that once his father died, he did not have a sense to live anymore until his son was born, and now he gave him a reason to live anymore. And now just imagine how much trauma that will create in that son that has to live up to be the reason for life for his father. Or his wife, you know, my wife said, my wife did, and they don't even give him a name. Again, this is the similar thing as we had the Luke, you know, this is, you don't individualize it. This is mine, this is my wife, and this is just a role. It has nothing to do with the person. This is my husband, he belonged to me, and he is not an individual anymore. He is an extension of what belongs to me. Just imagine what you do. We don't say for coincidence that words are spells. We are spelling that person to be something we want it to be. So, for example, if I would talk about my son or whatever, I say, Stefan, my son goes fishing, for example. So I give him the name first, and then I clarify that this is my son because I gave birth to this body, but as a son, Stefan is an individual and he loves to go fishing. So that's how we should talk. Or for example, my husband, you don't say just my husband, you say, for example, my husband's name was Albert. So I say, Albert, my husband, he was very good in football playing or whatever, you know, so I give him his name.
So you give,
I understand that. As you said in the beginning, we all have trauma or drama since childhood, and you also said that so we are all trapped in the trauma. This is also one of divine law.
Yes.
So we have this like an obstacle so that we can learn from this sorrow or sadness or something. So then we can break through.
Yes, exactly.
And be above trauma and to be the one with the divine.
Yes. Now see, still the whole society, usually the mass consciousness is still fear-based. That means that trauma and drama are normal in life, norm, not natural. I say normal because this is the norm that people kind of stand under. If once we move forward and we raise our consciousness into higher levels, starting to understand, that will start to fade away. So this is why every child and every drama, and I don't want to go into even the topic of really bad child abuse, and this is a very, very dark karma for those of the elite that they have to pay now, that this is coming up now. And the moment when we shed light on this and we work on sending love, sending energy of peace, sending energy of healing to these souls that are so abused, I don't know honestly how they have chosen to be in that role. But it's like it is. So I don't want to question that too much, but I see that everything has somewhere a divine purpose. And it's
So
very,
if
very difficult to understand when we come still from a human understanding.
so if a person still stuck in all the childhood trauma, they will never have a progress in the on the spiritual journey.
No.
Oh,
How can they? If they, you know, if they are stuck in self-pity. And this is something I also experienced. There were two sisters, and the father of these two, they was kind of just going around a bit. And one of the sisters, she was able to go to the grandparents, and the other sister grew up in an orphanage, more or less. And you know what? When they were older, the funny thing is that this woman who was growing up in the orphanage, she was still a happy, nice woman, and like, you know, not bitter. The other woman who had the chance to grow up with her grandmother, who had a much, much better upbringing in that way, had a family. She was much more bitter. Oh, it's just because my father wasn't blah, blah, blah. She always, even she was 70 years old at that time when I met them, that she still blamed her father and mother situation, that she has whatever. But she had a good life. She had a husband afterwards. She had children afterwards. She was in a financial good situation, you know, everything. But she was just bitter, and she has chosen not to forgive. And she carried all that not forgiveness with her whole life. And you can see in her face, she had a very, very bitter face. And the other one was a happy woman, and the children loved her. She was really the perfect auntie. And so different, these two sisters, you know, that was a lesson for me many, many years ago, but I really learned a lot about that. So what you have to do is, first of all, I would ask again, as I said, my obsessors seem to help me to redeem and to resolve all these childhood traumas and traumas. So when you have certain dreams, don't pay attention much, because the dream is as such already working with you. You don't need to pay much attention. Once a topic is over, the dream stops. So this is a way to work through that. We don't have to do consciously, because again, we are so brainwashed that in the normal 3D life, that it is much more difficult to work through a drama. And it's also like the therapist that we work today with is very often also difficult, because they also follow certain rules that might not be like what you study in university, whatever, might not be according to the real divine law.
oh,
And one case, like, you know, I know several cases who went to psychiatric therapy, whatever. They were there years and years and never completely came out of it. So it's, for me, it's a little bit like the same drama like you have with other medical things, that you receive pills and they want you as a client.
So it means that there is no therapy form to clear the trauma.
Well, there might be, I don't know, but I don't have very good or much experience with it. And
Okay.
those, you know what, most people who ended up finally at my place, when I still had my, you know, regression, rebirthing and all that stuff, they went before already. They were in the psychiatric treatment or whatever, and since they could not help, but the last step is then they ended up here, you know, kind of. So I honestly don't have much of a respect of this kind of people.
Okay.
even if they might have a PhD. So I don't care about that.
Mm.
Mm.
So I think in my opinion, I think all the trauma or drama in childhood is some kind of energy,
Yes.
Mhm.
stuck in our body, our mind or something. So if for the therapy, I think might to clear the energy could help. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can do something definitely to clear the energy, but conventional medicine or psychiatry, there are not many. I mean, you remember we talked about orgone, and I told you about the story of Wilhelm Reich, the guy who found orgone. He was at the end in the prison because he was on the right path. He did really heal people. He was in prison, and then just shortly before he was released, he died conveniently from a heart attack. So don't tell me that was natural, but they didn't want to have him out. Same like other people like Tesla, like others. Or people like now, I just had another video from somebody that this guy has built a car with hydro fuel somehow. We just put in water, and this went online and went somehow even through news. I don't remember which country, but this is so often that he suddenly, about a month later, he died.
Mm.
You know, I mean, don't
Mm.
convince me. I cannot believe that this is coincidence. And the same is all with all these other dramas that are going on. The only way we can get out of this is to move out of, to lift our consciousness into a higher level. You can never resolve a problem where it was created. You always have to go higher.
Mm.
So you can move on, and you can also see that as a child, because of your brainwash of your program, you probably already attract the childhood trauma or trauma because of the karmic connection with your parents or whoever it is that is the abuse. So there is no way that you can really clear stuff like that in a conventional way of therapy. You have to not on the same level talk about this person hurt me, blah blah blah. This is not gonna give you the resolve.
Mm.
Mm.
And
And then,
once you really raise your consciousness and you forgive and you said, okay, that was in my past, and I accept the fact from a divine perspective that I have attracted the abuse for whatever reason I do not understand right now. So I let it go. That's the only way to really get out of this kind of stuff.
so you mean let it go by my heart, right?
Yeah, maybe it's not there yet, but you just first the statement already that you're willing
Ah.
to let it go, that you're willing not to be angry anymore, sad anymore, whatever. Just give it out in the energy, in your frequency, in your aura. Okay, I know that was shit what happened, but it's past. I can change it.
Okay.
So I accept that on one level I have attracted it or agreed to be part of it, but now I let it go. This is not me.
Detached of it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Understand.
therapy sometimes just brings it up again. I even saw that in regression therapy and reincarnation therapy, because this guy killed me in my past life. Now I can be really angry at him because now I'm gonna kill him or what? I mean, you die in every life, and we said that before when we talked about illness. Every death is kind of a suicide. You decide when you die, and you create the illness or the accident or whatever it is that causes your death because you need a reason to get rid of that body to move on. So if you angry at that person, but maybe that person is just, there was also clearing karma, it was maybe not even personal, because like, for example, if you have been a general or something, and because of your maybe made a mistake, and a lot of people died because of the mistake you made, maybe say 100 people died, you cannot go and in your incarnation have 100 lives and die 100 times for each one of them. Then we talk about symbolic karma. So you maybe be you're killed maybe in a similar way, but only one time, to get the lesson, to feel how it feels.
Mhm. Mm.
So the only real way to get out of it is that you are willing to let go, to willing to forgive, to raise your consciousness level to a higher point of view, seeing the whole picture, that all these dramas and traumas that we had are nothing else at the end than teachings for our life, that we finally wake up to the divine within us and we stop to give our power away.
Mm. Mhm. Easy but difficult to do.
Yes, it is difficult to do, but once you start, once you make the first step, it gets more and more and more easy.
Okay. Mhm. But it's very, very clear. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, I still have sometimes, even today, I had just recently, we were talking with somebody about childhood experience, and I had something that I really obviously have not forgiven my father,
Mm.
and it just came up. And so what you can do if something like that comes, okay, look, this is the past, and that's how it was then, it's gone. So, okay, I forgive you, forget it.
Mm. Mhm.
Because when I was young, it was still kind of normal that you beat up kids when they do some bullshit, you know, kind of. And I did some bullshit and he beat me up, and I kind of.
So that's the same as when I before I go to bed. Before going to bed, I always said I drop off every karma, and it's same like I forgive the trauma the same way.
You can, but you can also ask to really work through it in your dreams, and then you can do that. You don't need to think about, you even forget it. And you know, the interesting thing is that, like, when the last years my mother lived with me, and she was telling me some stuff from my childhood that I remembered completely different. And you know, like, it made me so clear that even my kids, you know, we talked about certain things that happen and they saw it from a complete different angle. I see it from the perspective of a mother, and as a daughter to my mother, similar or same experience have been completely different. So this is also something we have to comprehend, that, you know, a reaction of somebody else might be just like that one little drop that makes the barrel overflow. Like a real big anger shouts at you, but it has in fact nothing to do. You were just that trigger for that whole like fire already to explode.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then there's no way, you cannot change it. It has happened. And if you accept that it has something, that you either accept it to help the other person release the anger, or something that you needed to experience, that you need to learn from, and then just let it go, then life becomes much, much, much easier and much more happy.
Mm.
You will never know completely why another person did something, because you don't walk in their shoes. You don't know exactly their background, even if you know a lot of them, about them and whatever, but we never really 100% know why another person does something.
Mhm. Mm.
And once you are powerful again, once you take back your own power, then stuff like that from other people does not even reach you anymore and does not even affect you in the same way anymore.
Mhm.
You don't have to take it personal because it's that person's anger, not yours, you know. And the
Yes.
more you learn to reflect that, the more easy it is. And then all these dramas and traumas will just kind of fade away and just be what it was, an experience.
Uh-huh. Mm.
But as long as you blame others and you hold on and you see yourself as the poor victim, nothing's gonna go better in your life either. And you bring this victim energy and you attract similar situations again and again, that other people, they ridicule you, they put you down and whatever, because this is, you attract it through your victim mentality.
I see.
So see, the spiritual path, you Suchada, something what you mentioned before, is like really move into understanding who you are. Like in this journey in astrology, take back your power, understand your life, understand your curriculum, and that needs some effort. Most people today, they don't put any effort in really understanding what life is. They put effort in making money and having fun and whatever, but not in the real vital things what life is all about. And they will never be completely happy. They might enjoy for a moment or whatever, but inside they are empty.
Oh. Uh-huh. Very good conclusion.
So conclusion is like, start to talk to people and give them a name. Even children, small children, help them to be individuals, help them to be not just a role. It can be your wife, it can be your husband, it can be your child, that's fine. But like, it has a name, like, is Suchada my wife, or Navasit my husband? Not just my husband, my wife, my son, my daughter. Give them names, give them individuality, give them the right to be a personality that is not just yours and to serve you and your possession.
Yeah. But because in Thai language, when I talk to my father and my mother, I call dad and mom พ่อแม่ so
Yeah.
I never call their name when I
Yes.
conversation with them.
Yes, I know. It's in Western situations the same. You say mother, and I did that actually with my children at one point when they were grown up. I said, I'm not mommy anymore. I'm Catherine for you. And that was some kind of difficult. My daughter took it more easy. My son was kind of, but I want a mommy. And but you know, the relationship changed quite a bit. But I know this is completely different because, you know, you give birth to a child, and this child is under your care for a certain time. Like in older native tribes, what we call them now, or other cultures, like when the child is grown up, that means when a woman has the menstruation, a man is cracking the voice, going also through puberty, then the kids have been taken away from the parents and they went into an initiation period. The women with the women, the man with the man. Like I just say a sample now, the guys, they go hunting and whatever guys do, and the women, they had all their rituals like nurturing, like learning healing arts, learning herbs, food and all that stuff, which is the part of the yin yang activities. That does not mean a woman cannot be a hunter or a man cannot be cooking, but this is the initiation and the learning of this. And then when they came back after a year, or depending on the tradition of the tribe, they were not daughters and son anymore. And when the kids were gone, the parents, they made a funeral ceremony and they bury like a puppet or a symbol of the child, because the child has died and is an adult now. So that was healthy. And you don't have afterwards a mother and a father anymore. I told you I was very much involved in shamanism when I was younger, and I had also many past lives in this direction and memories from that. And this was really healthy. That was one reason why I did that with my kids at one point. But I know this has nothing to do with tradition from our society. But I think it's much more healthy. And I'm 100% sure this will change, but it does not change like that. It takes a lot more people who need to wake up to understand what really is a difference between an adult and a child. Now today the childhood is going to be prolonged. You go to school again, and brainwashed into studies, and it's not the healthy system. I mean, you see the outcome. It's not the healthy system. And it will all crash. I mean, all the school system, everything, and medicine, everything will completely go away. Like, I just had a confirmation a couple of days ago, like we talk about energy medicine. This is the future. You will have no chemical and medicine anymore in the future. I don't know how long it takes, 10 years, 20 years, I don't know. You might have like a disinfectant or some herbs, but generally medicine will be sound, will be energy, not others, because it doesn't make sense. You need to change the frequency, not the chemistry. But again, it will take some longer time till people understand that. And the same is with all trauma. Once you change the energy, you switch the energy, the understanding of the energy, that all the frequencies that are in victim mode having a negative effect on you, effect on your health, on your life, whatever. Once you switch that and understand that and get out of victim mode, then the energy already for you, new thoughts will heal you physically too. So we can say all the trauma, all the dramas that you had in your life, they are here to wake you up. They are shaking you, wake up.
So they are our teacher.
Yes, they are. And remember, you've chosen it. Otherwise, so again, take back responsibility, ability to respond to every situation in life. You can ask yourself, why did I choose to experience that? And this is a very powerful step into power, real power. Then also nobody else have to give you the power. For example, like when you look in the world today, like they are some high up here and they give you the power, like you were here to come up here, but they're still here, they still control you. So this power is not real power. This is borrowed from somebody else, and depending on how you perform in the interest of that person who give you the power. This is not real power. So let's take a path of power and take back our power, right?
Right.
Working on it
Still working on it.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Accepting all the dramas that in the whole life from child onwards, that they just have been here to teach us something and let go and learn to laugh about it. Okay, how stupid was I there? Now I'm more clever. Now I move beyond that barrier to blame others for what happened in my life, because I am now conscious creator and I create my life.
Okay. It's true.
Oh, I like this word. I create my life.
Yes,
Yeah.
I create my life. I claim my power. I claim my power. I create my life. That can be an affirmation.
Oh.
Okay, very good. I think we end up somewhere completely different than what we expected, right?
More than expectation.
Always different. Okay, so everybody who watched the video, I hope you like it, and please share it and put that like thumb up. And we'll talk again next week, and let's see what questions coming up for next week.
Okay.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.